All right. So my name is Dina Goodwine, and I'm here with Kendall Intrican from Central Alabama Community College. And Kendall, we thank you so much for being here and talking about our new LEAPS program. So I wanted to start off and just ask, could you tell everyone what LEAPS is?
Yeah, so LEAPS is a really awesome program available for dual enrollment students. It's designed for these students to earn their associate in science degree before they actually graduate high school. So they'll graduate college before high school, so it's kind of a joke. We always like to say that because CAC's graduation is typically before high school graduations. There is an application process. There are certain requirements that are set by the high school to determine who these LEAP students are going to be. And once that selection is made, this is a cohort-based program. So those students will take the exact same courses from the summer before their ninth grade all the way up to 12th grade when they graduate with their associate in science degree. Like I mentioned, it starts the summer before the ninth grade, and that's going to start off with a basic orientation 101 class. And that's just a good transition class for students to kind of get acquainted with dual enrollment and get going and get used to the feel of those classes. And then we transition into the harder classes as we move along. For the fall semester, you're starting off with one class. It's going to be a music class. And then in the spring semester of your ninth grade year, we're going to do another online class. So it's just going to be one class per semester in your ninth grade year. And again, that's just to kind of get you acquainted to the dual enrollment program. And then beginning your 10th grade year, that's when it really starts to pick up. That's when we transition to in-person classes. And we're doing 2 classes per semester. And that does include summer semesters as well. So after your 10th grade year, you will be taking some summer classes all the way through your 12th grade year.
Okay. So we have an application and interview process on our end, and know that we need to look for some students that are in that advanced math. Has that shown really good success with you guys previously?
Yes, so that is a huge determining factor whether these students are going to be successful or not. With this program, math is obviously a requirement, and we need to get that on the beginning end of the side. So those students who are kind of on an accelerated math pathway or have excellent, math skills tend to do better in that and are more prepared to handle the math that is required for this program.
Okay. And then I know the students will pretty much follow the same application process with the counselors that they've been doing with the other dual enrollment students,
Yes.
right?
So once the LEAP cohort is selected by the high school will send those names to us. And then those students that are selected will essentially do the same dual enrollment process that all students do. They'll complete a CAC application online, they'll submit the transcripts, and then they'll also submit the registration forms that are required of all dual enrollment students. Their registration forms will just be set with these particular LEAP courses.
And then they're going to take that orientation class in the summer, and then only one class in the fall and one class in the spring during ninth grade year, right?
Correct. One class in the summer before ninth grade year, which is that orientation. And then in the fall, it's going to be Music 101. And in the spring, it's CIS 146, which is a microcomputer applications course. Those are all taught online simply because we know these students are in ninth grade. We don't want to integrate them with older students before they're ready or before the typical dual enrollment student would transition into those classes. So we do those online, and those are fantastic online courses. We've never really had any trouble with anybody successfully completing those courses as far as the online component is concerned.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And that probably gets them ready for that 10th grade year to take more classes.
It does. So starting the 10th grade year, that's when we transition to more of the in-person classes with our traditional dual enrollment students, as well as, there could be some other students as well. that'll be done either on our campus or on the high school campus, depending on what course it is. But you're really going to get the dual enrollment experience in those courses. It's not just pulled out, you're isolated with these LEAP students. You're going to get the true dual enrollment experience.
Mm-hmm. Good. And then tell us, like, what should they expect with this orientation class? Like, how many hours? They've got trips planned or things planned this summer. So how many hours should they set aside? And is this offered online or in person? How's that going to take place?
Yes, so that beginning orientation class is an asynchronous online course, meaning there's not a certain time that you have to log in or be, in your Canvas account at a certain time. You just have to log in and meet those deadlines posted within the course. Like I said, it is a good transition course. That course is going to go over things like good study habits, what to expect in your college courses. It's going to go over some writing examples on how to access our writing center. It's a great starting course. It is not going to be a hard course, meaning you're not going to have to devote a ton of time to it. It does have, some time components and things like that. But again, it's just a 1 credit hour course. So it's going to have a lot less than your typical 3 credit hour course requirement. So if you're going on vacation or something like that, it shouldn't be any problem just to hop online, complete your assignments for that week, and then you should be good to go.
Okay. And then the same for the Music 101 and the CIS 146. Those are going to be online, but they won't necessarily be that same format, I guess.
Correct. The music in the fall semester and the CIS in the spring, those are both going to be asynchronous online, meaning you don't have to log in at a certain time. However, those both are 3 credit hour courses. So they are going to have a little bit more like assignments and things like that, as opposed to the orientation, which is a 1 credit hour. So you're going to have to devote a little bit more time to those classes than you would the orientation. But again, you don't have to log in at a certain time, just as long as you're maintaining those deadlines posted within the course.
Okay. And one of the things I've noticed in the past with students is that they may just not understand how much time should be devoted to a dual enrollment class. So you mentioned a 3-hour class, and I'd always taught to students about attendance because they seem to understand when you relate it to attendance. So if they haven't logged in to a course within the first 10 days, how does that affect them?
So they're actually required to log in within the first week of courses. If students do not log in and complete that initial attendance assignment, or if they don't show up to class that first week, we process what's called a no-show, and those students are dropped from the course due to non-attendance. So it's very, very important to make sure that you're logging in, especially that first week, but continuously logging in on a regular basis. I would recommend treating it like it is an in-person class and devoting, at least 2 days a week for about an hour and 15 minutes at a time and working on your assignments. That's typically how our 3 credit hour courses meet when they're in person. It's usually 2 days a week for an hour and 15 minutes. So if you're in an online class, just kind of keep that same rule of thumb. It doesn't have to be the same 2 days or the same hour and 15 minutes, just as long as you're devoting that time each week.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And I know every class varies a little bit depending on what's required, but typically in a face-to-face class, if it's a 3-hour class, then you're attending 3 hours, but you're also studying 3 hours.
Correct. Yes. So definitely, factor in study time. That's not included in that 2-hour and or 2-day hour and 15 minutes that I was speaking about. So definitely factor in your normal study time that you would for any class.
Okay. And then just, I think also in an online class, just being organized, knowing when deadlines are, and other things like the syllabus, they need to be looking at that as well. So anything you want to mention about that?
Exactly. I was going to mention the syllabus. If you're not aware of what a syllabus is, it's kind of the course expectations, what you're going to learn in every single class. Every course will have its own syllabus, and in that syllabus is going to be a pacing guide. That pacing guide is going to have, your whole outline for the semester. So due dates and things like that. It's always a good idea to print that off. I like to use my highlighter or check it off or do whatever you need to, but check off, mark off assignments as you complete them. Just make sure that is subject to change So if your instructor makes a change to the syllabus or change to the due date of something, just make a little note on your pacing guide so that you're keeping up with that.
Okay. And occasionally we have students that they forgot how to log in, or they don't know what their email address is, or things like that, or how to get into email. So what happens? How do they handle that?
Yes, so they just need to email help@cac.edu, and that automatically submits a ticket to them, or ticket to our IT help desk, and they can troubleshoot that information. When you send that email, just make sure that you include your student ID number that will be given to you as a CAC student, and your email address, so that the IT technician can kind of look at your account and make sure they're getting the right person and can help you out as quickly as possible, instead of emailing back and forth trying to get all of that information at once. If you're having trouble with IT, or they're not getting back to you as quickly as you need it, you can always reach out to your dual enrollment person as well, your dual enrollment counselor here at CAC, and they can kind of troubleshoot and see what they can kind of handle on their side.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know that in the past I've had sticky notes on my computer, things like that, just to remind me when something's new, because within a few weeks, all that becomes pretty old hat. They learn how to do that. So, okay. Well, are there any other things that you think have been helpful for students that these parents maybe need to know about?
Yes, I do just want to mention that this is a special program. It is an honor if you're selected as a LEAP student. We have school systems all over the state trying to replicate this. You're very lucky as far as being able to have this at your school. I will say that being a LEAP student, you still have to maintain all of the requirements needed for regular dual enrollment. So that means maintaining at least a C or better in all of your courses. If you do happen to not make a C or make below a C in any of those courses, the same, I guess not punishment, but the same
Treatment.
same treatment applies to you. If you make below a C, you'd have to sit out for one semester. So mandatory. There's nothing that can change that. That is an automatic one-term suspension. Within that program, we are taking English and math courses that do require placement testing. So you do have to be able to place in those courses as well. For instance, the fall of your 10th grade year, you'll be taking English 101, which is your freshman composition. So we will test you the spring of your 9th grade year, is an AccuPlacer exam, to determine your eligibility for that English class. And again, you have to meet the same requirements that all dual enrollment students have to meet for that English to continue on in the program. And then for math, that is scheduled for your fall 11th grade year. So we will test at the end of your 10th grade year spring semester. Again, you have to meet a certain score requirement to be eligible to continue on in that program, simply because of the math placement requirement.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's great. I think those are very helpful. And I know that parents and students need to realize that this is a big deal, because it can be a permanent transcripted grade.
Yes.
So they do need to take those courses seriously.
Yes, absolutely. These are actual college courses that are going on your actual college transcript that will follow you wherever you decide to go. I do want to take this time to mention that these are transferable courses. All of the courses within this program are guaranteed transferable to any four-year public school in the state of Alabama through our Alabama Transfers partnership. That does not mean that they do not go out of state or to our private colleges as well. We just have a special articulation agreement between the two-year public schools and the four-year public schools. So again, all guaranteed transferable. So if you decide to go to a four-year after graduation, all of these will go with you.
That's great. And that's really what this program is designed to do. It's really designed for someone that might be interested in a four-year degree, correct?
Yes, exactly. So once you complete this program, you will earn an associate in science and general studies, which is just a fancy way of saying it's a transfer degree that's going to go to a four-year college.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we are so excited about this opportunity for our students. I was going to put our link up also so people can see that. But I'll actually be sending that link out where they can go ahead and apply for that program. And that's really both for our dual enrollment and then also for this LEAPS program as well. And we plan to have interviews just to make sure that we have students who can handle the rigor that's involved with this. And I guess my last question, Kendall, is you, not with us, not with Sylacauga, but you're about to have your first group of graduates, right?
Yes. So in another school system, our pilot kind of group for this program, we started with them their summer before ninth grade, and they've progressed through the entire program, and they are our first cohort to graduate with their associate in science degree. So we're very excited. And again, they'll receive their CAC degree before they receive their high school diploma.
That is so exciting. And so we're so excited to be a part of this and look forward to that time when we have graduates as well. So, all right. Well, I think that's all the information that we need. I certainly appreciate your time and being a part. And we will share this with parents and help them to learn more about the program. And I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thanks.